So I am Dr. Aditi Thanki, and today we will discuss about the role of newer molecules in head neck cancer management. Next slide, please. Why does this topic intrigue us? It's because of the persistent desire for improvement in toxicity profile and survival outcomes in our patients with head and neck squamous cell carcinoma in both locally advanced and metastatic settings. The current standard of care remains cisplatin-based therapy, and as we know, a subset of our patients are not eligible for cisplatin-based chemotherapy. As you can see here, we have newer targets in head neck squamous cell carcinoma, and the drugs have been studied in various clinical trials over the last few decades. Next slide, please. So we would start our discussion with anti-EGFR monoclonal antibodies as the first group of newer molecules, which includes cetuximab, nimotuzumab, and panitumumab. Next slide, please. Starting with cetuximab, its role in head and neck cancer management was established first in 2006, when Bonner and his colleagues published the data of cetuximab with RT as compared to RT and showed an overall survival benefit. Although, as we know, RT alone is not the standard of care here, cetuximab had benefited both HPV positive and HPV negative population in that study, with significantly better outcomes for HPV positive group. So subsequently, cetuximab's role was studied in HPV positive head and neck carcinomas in two different trials. One of the first trial was De-Escalate HPV trial, which recruited low-risk HPV positive oropharyngeal cancer patients. Here, the patients were non-smokers or less than 10 pack years smoking history. The patients were randomized to receive either cetuximab with RT or cisplatin with RT. And they showed that cetuximab had no benefit in terms of reduced toxicity, but instead it showed significant detriment in terms of tumor control. Next slide, please. The second study of similar population was carried out by RTOG group, the RTOG 1016 trial, and it also had the similar outcomes. So based on these two trials, we can conclude that radiotherapy plus cisplatin is the standard of care for eligible patients with HPV positive oropharyngeal carcinomas. Next slide, please. The setting of cetuximab as an add-on therapy to concurrent CTRT has also been studied in multiple clinical trials. The largest one being RTOG 0522 study, which was a phase 3 randomized control trial, and it failed to show benefit of addition of cetuximab to concurrent CTRT in terms of improvement in overall survival or progression-free survival. Next slide, please. So this brings us to the newer molecule nimotuzumab, which was studied first in combination with CTRT in BEST trial. It was a phase 2b trial, including 92 patients from Karnataka, and the researchers showed a significant improvement in overall response rate from 70% to 100%, and an improvement in median overall survival. At the 60 months endpoint, the median overall survival was not reached in nimotuzumab with CTRT arm as compared to 22 months only for CTRT alone arm. Next slide, please. So this led to the need of a larger randomized controlled trial, which was published recently by TMH Group. And I had a privilege to be a part of this study, where we studied nimotuzumab with concurrent CTRT versus CTRT alone. And we found a significant improvement in 2 years PFS from 50% to 62%, and 2 years locoregional control from 57% to 67%. There was a trend to improvement in overall survival with addition of nimotuzumab to concurrent CTRT. Next slide, please. A subset analysis of the same trial in HPV negative oropharyngeal cancers also showed an improvement in median PFS, median locoregional control rate, and a significant improvement in median overall survival from 19 months to 36 months with addition of nimotuzumab. Next slide, please. In recurrent metastatic head and neck squamous cell carcinomas, the role of these monoclonal antibodies was first established by Extreme trial in 2008, where cetuximab, in addition to 5-FU platinum backbone, showed an improvement in response rates from 20% to 36%, an improvement in median PFS from 3.3 months to 5.6 months, and a median overall survival also improved from 7.5 months to 10 months. However, later in Spectrum trial, addition of panitumumab to the same chemotherapy backbone failed to show an overall survival benefit. Yadav et al. From North India published a small study of 124 patients where they used nimotuzumab as monoclonal antibody on the chemotherapy backbone of taxane with platinum. Although, as we know, the direct comparison between these three molecules will never be possible, the cross-trial comparison here, as shown in this table, suggests that overall response rate and median PFS with nimotuzumab was quite similar to that of cetuximab and panitumumab. Next slide, please. As far as the safety is concerned, again, as is seen in this table, the skin toxicities, cardiac toxicities, and the risk of hypomagnesemia and hypokalemia were significantly less in chemotherapy with nimotuzumab as compared to the other two monoclonals with chemotherapy. Next slide, please. And why is this so? It is because of the nimotuzumab's favorable pharmacokinetic profile. Nimotuzumab is a humanized IgG1 antibody, and it has low avidity to EGFR receptors. And this is responsible for high therapeutic index of nimotuzumab. It has high uptake and retention in tumor tissue vis-a-vis low uptake and rapid clearance from normal tissues. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. As is seen in this figure, nimotuzumab only transiently binds with monovalency to normal cells who express EGFR in low concentration, and it has strong bivalent binding to tumor cells which express EGFR in medium to high concentration. Next slide, please. The second group of interest here is EGFR TKIs, erlotinib and gefitinib being the first generation TKIs, and afatinib the second generation TKIs. Next slide, please. EGFR TKIs in head neck squamous cell carcinoma are studied in three different settings. As adjuvant post completion of CTRT, afatinib, however, failed to show any benefit. As concurrent to CTRT, erlotinib failed to show an additional advantage. In recurrent metastatic setting, however, there are multiple studies of EGFR TKIs. The first generation TKIs, however, have shown less efficacy in head neck squamous cell carcinoma. As seen in this table, the overall response rates with these agents have remained dismal as compared to cetuximab in recurrent metastatic setting. One of the studies, the response rates was as low as 1.4%. And this led to the researchers' belief that a wider spectrum of activity in second generation TKIs like afatinib and decometinib would not only inhibit EGFR, but also inhibit HER2 and HER4, and so are called pan-HER inhibitors, may have a better efficacy. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So afatinib was compared with methotrexate as second-line treatment in Asian patients with recurrent or metastatic squamous cell carcinoma of head and neck in Lux Head Neck 3 trial. Next slide, please. And they found a significant objective response rate of 28% versus 13% with methotrexate and an improvement in PFS with afatinib. However, they failed to show an improvement in overall survival with the agent. Currently, we use these EGFR TKIs in our clinical practice in oral metronomic chemotherapy protocols. Next slide, please. The third group of interest was anti-VEGF monoclonal bevacizumab. Next slide, please. It was studied in E1305 trial, where they studied the addition of bevacizumab to chemotherapy in recurrent metastatic head neck carcinomas. The addition, though improved overall response rates and PFS, they failed to show an overall survival benefit. Next slide, please. And this came at a toxicity of, at a significant increase in toxicity of bleeding. So it has not become a standard of care in this setting. Next slide, please. Recently, mTOR inhibitor everolimus was also studied in head neck carcinomas. Next slide, please. In February 2020, a phase 2 trial was presented which studied everolimus versus placebo as adjuvant therapy in patients with head and neck squamous cell carcinomas. Everolimus here was given at a dose of 10 milligrams per day for maximum of 1 year or up till progression. And they found a significant improvement in PFS and OS for patients who were on everolimus during first year as compared to placebo. In patients with TP53 mutations, the benefit of everolimus was significant as 2 years PFS increased from 22.5% to 70% in patients on everolimus in adjuvant setting. Next slide, please. The preclinical data suggests a possible benefit of MET inhibitors in head neck squamous cell carcinoma. Next slide, please. And this is because MET signaling is a well-established mechanism of resistance to anti-EGFR therapy. So Koshini et al. Studied 78 patients with cetuximab-naive platinum-refractory head neck squamous cell carcinoma, and they randomized these patients to receive either cetuximab alone or in combination with tivantinib. They failed to show any response or survival benefit with addition of MET inhibitor to cetuximab though. Next slide, please. Another molecule showing favorable preclinical data was CDK4/6 inhibitor palbociclib. Next slide, please. As we know, tumors with suppression of EGFR pathway have upregulation of CDK pathway, which can be partially reversed by CDK4 inhibition. And this was studied in Palatinus trial in 2019. The population was cetuximab-naive, platinum-refractory, HPV unrelated head neck squamous cell carcinomas, and they received either cetuximab alone or in combination with palbociclib. The trial failed to show any survival benefit of addition of CDK4/6 inhibitor. Next slide, please. So lastly, we come to immunotherapy, nivolumab, pembrolizumab, which are PD-1 inhibitors, and durvalumab, a PD-L1 inhibitor. Next slide, please. So as we know, PD-1 or PD-L1 inhibition acts at tumor microenvironment level, and CTLA-4 inhibition acts at APC T-cell interaction level. Both these inhibitions can enhance T-cell anti-tumor activity, and when used in combination, they can complementarily benefit in survival outcomes. Next slide, please. So Checkmate 141 was the phase 3 trial which assessed nivolumab in recurrent metastatic squamous cell carcinoma cases after platinum therapy. The eligible patients were cases of oral cavity pharynx or larynx who had progression or within 6 months of last dose of platinum-based therapy. They were randomized to receive either nivolumab at a dose of 3 mg per kg every 2 weekly or to investigator's choice, which included methotrexate, docetaxel, or cetuximab in weekly settings. Next slide, please. The investigators showed a significant improvement in overall survival from 5.1 months to 7.7 months with nivolumab and maintained a favorable safety profile versus investigator's choice regime. Nivolumab is the only immunotherapy to demonstrate overall survival benefit irrespective of PD-L1 expression in patients with head neck squamous cell carcinomas. Next slide, please. Keynote 040 was the phase 3 trial which assessed the role of pembrolizumab in similar population as in the trial mentioned before. Here, the pembrolizumab was used in a dose of 200 milligrams every 3 weekly and compared to investigator's choice regime. Next slide, please. Here again, there was an improvement in median overall survival from 6.9 months to 8.4 months. And for those patients with PD-L1 expression of more than or equal to 50%, there was a significant overall survival benefit with a hazard ratio of 0.53. Pembrolizumab had fewer adverse events, however, more immune-related toxicity, especially of concern were hypothyroidism and pneumonitis in addition to fatigue. Next slide, please. Pembrolizumab is also studied in first-line setting in KEYNOTE-048 trial. Here, pembrolizumab alone or in combination with chemotherapy were compared with cetuximab with chemotherapy. And they found that pembrolizumab alone or in combination was better as far as the median overall survival was concerned as compared to cetuximab chemotherapy, irrespective of CPS score being more than or equal to 1 or more than or equal to 20. Next slide, please. However, a recent EAGLE phase 3 trial assessing durvalumab alone or in combination with tremelimumab, the CTLA-4 inhibitor, has failed to show a survival benefit as compared to investigators' choice. Next slide, please. So where does the future direct us? Next slide, please. The Cancer Genome Atlas has divided head and neck cancers in 4 distinct gene expression subtypes. These are classical, atypical, mesenchymal, and basal subtypes. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. The classical subtype has heavy smokers with a genomic profile quite similar to lung squamous cell carcinoma, with major molecular aberrations being TP53 mutations and CDKN2A loss of function mutations. Next slide, please. While the atypical subtype includes HPV positive tumors with activating mutations in exon 9 that contains PIK3CA helical domain mutations. Next slide, please. So this is just the pictorial representation of these 4 subtypes and the genomic profile, which in future might become the targets for tailoring cancer therapy in our patients. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So the question remains where these newer molecules come into play in current treatment armamentarium. Next slide, please. Recently, Indian Clinical Practice Consensus Guidelines were published in 2020, and they have included, next slide please, concurrent CTRT with nivolumab as category 1A recommendation for patients with locally advanced or metastatic, locally advanced oropharyngeal, hypopharyngeal, or laryngeal cancers. They have also mentioned that for those patients of oropharyngeal cancers who are ineligible for cisplatin-based concurrent treatment with radiation, we can use weekly cetuximab or weekly nimotuzumab in this setting. In very advanced cases of head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, use of cetuximab with chemotherapy, and along with that, use of pembrolizumab with chemotherapy or pembrolizumab or nivolumab alone have also been mentioned in first-line setting in these guidelines. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. The NCCN guidelines also concur with the same, with category 1 recommendation given for pembrolizumab with platinum and 5FU-based treatment or pembrolizumab alone if CPS is more than or equal to 20. It also gives a mention to targeted therapy, afatinib, if the disease has progressed on or after platinum-based therapy. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Listen, you have made the thing so simple, lucid, and palatable for us. For last 3 days, I was reading lots of articles. About 40 pages I have tried to read, but I was not able to crystallize it the way in which you have did it. As far as the presentation for the molecule, which is being prepared in India, is better for our HPV negative patient, because 90% of our head and neck cancer, they are HPV negative. And we have a very bad prognostic group. And in such cases, if the targeted therapy, now the molecular biology has made life for lung cancer, life for hepatic cancer, life for kidney cancer, simpler. But in head and neck cancer, it is probably lots of issues are involved. The radiotherapy, which is the main treatment for locally advanced disease itself, is also toxic. addition of a new molecule, it is very difficult to judge the toxicity. And the toxicity, financial toxicity. Now, India has 30% of the tumor load head and neck cancer. Other part of the world, it comes 7 or 8 or 9. So all the research should come from our country to find out which new molecule will suit us. Lots of things for the, apart from the nivolumab or cetuximab, most of the overall response rate is less than 15 to 20%, between 15 to 20%. And to spend lots of money for those molecules is not good for our country. So economically, it is many times whatever we are reading is viable only for 0.1% of the patient population, those who can afford. And at the end of the day, in head and neck cancer advance, the 5-year survival has never gone beyond 50%. So it is only in the early stage we can cure. For others, it is palliation. For head and neck cancer, all of us should try to find out tobacco-related head and cancer should come down. Our aim should be control the tobacco-related cancer, number 1, in head and neck region. And number 2, we must learn how to palliate very nicely head and neck cancer. We should not say, oh, my work is over, my chemotherapy is now not working. You move with the tracheostomy, you move with the feeding tube, etc. We must learn how to best palliate our cancer patient. Apatini we can give after so many things, but very few advantage. What is the message I like most was TP53 mutation. If we can do it regularly, because if there is a TP53 mutation, their resistance to platinum. And platinum is the main drug which we are using. We are using 2 drugs, platinum and 5-FU. And 5-FU many times, if you don't take care, it causes cardiac toxicity. So Aditi, you have done best, very nice presentation. You have covered everything. I thought that you will not mention about Dr. K. Prabhas article on the clinical consensus. That also you brought full mark. Everything for you. So nice of you. I have heard you for the first time, but you have prepared the thing very nicely for all of us. Congratulations.